What's up, everybody? Welcome to MLS Playoff Central, the post-game show. I am Susanna Collins. I am joined by Kaylin Carr, Dan Gargan, Dax McCarty. Leg one of the conference championships in the book. We had a scoreless affair in Columbus, the Crew taking on TFC, and then a statement win by Seattle, 2-0 against Houston at BBVA Compass Stadium. And let's get right into this one. Let's talk about Houston. So I don't know if you guys saw this tifo that the fans had put up, but it basically said, out of the floods into your nightmares, and this was actually Houston's nightmare. It literally
started.
It was.
It started with the tifo breaking.
The wind was not helping that tifo. It was so sad. I just wanted it to kind of get that full glorious flow.
Start.
It sure did.
This is a pretty picture.
But then the 11th minute, man, it all goes wrong. Svensson scores. They give up the penalty after Jovan Jones goes down in the box. They were down to 10 men after the Anibaba red. Will Bruin scores against his old team.
Chalk that one up to Kaylin.
It literally, that is Kaylin's fault, actually. But this kind of went wrong.
And I feel bad because I was the one that said set pieces would be key for Houston, and it actually turned out to be their Achilles heel against them.
So we're all to blame here.
I don't know if it was just
them.
set pieces. They were pretty bad, really across the board.
Kaylin said something interesting as we were watching this game. After they conceded that early goal, he said that he thought the immaturity factor kind of came into play, that they didn't have the right approach once they conceded. So Kaylin, I'm gonna look to you to kind of elaborate on this. What went wrong for the Dynamo?
Yeah, you've set me up now. Jeez.
Yeah, that's right.
I told you that in confidence, Susanna. I think we've all been there in these moments where things are going against you early, and if you get an unexpected goal on a set piece, and that's really a time where you need to see a response from the group, a little bit of calm, somebody to step up and be a little bit of a leader to say, hey, we can find a way back into this game. And from there, it just went from bad to worse. The biggest positive that I can see for the Dynamo in this game is that they didn't concede a third goal. This could have been worse.
It should have been worse.
Joe Willis makes a save on the penalty, obviously. On Ladero, I know Schmetzer is going to be upset on that one just because he wanted to get Ladero going. But then, of course, they subbed Dempsey off at halftime, kind of rest him. There was the crossbar chance late. This could have been worse. Houston still has a chance.
A couple opportunities that he misses and flubs.
Probably could have been 4 or 5, and I think if it is, we're all sitting here saying it's pretty easy to call that the Seattle Sounders are going to another MLS Cup final. Even at 2-0, I still think it's pretty easy to call that the Seattle Sounders are going to an MLS Cup final. That's not a bold statement by any means. I think we can all agree that Houston's going to go there. They're going to put up a good fight. But essentially, they lost this game right when that 11th minute goal went in. Right after that, they just lost their composure. You could see that they weren't, doing things on the field that were going to help them be successful against a Seattle defense that's been fantastic. And as soon as the red card happens, you can just even after the penalty save, Seattle was still comfortable. They were still comfortable moving the ball around.
Yeah, Kaylin, you're talking about who on this Houston team has the leadership capability that you look to. I'm looking through that lineup or the 11 and wondering, okay, who is that guy that's going to step up and rally those troops? I don't know if that Houston team has it. And what we saw, in my opinion, is two completely different calibers of team. That Seattle team is a championship caliber team from top to bottom. They brought in guys that made an impact. Their starting 11 was well prepared, looked good, was dangerous throughout the game. And Houston was not. And Houston has been this Jekyll and Hyde team from start to finish through this whole season. So it's, in my opinion, it's not all that surprising that they don't show up tonight. They've been a team that either shows up and is emphatic in what they can do, and they've also been a team that you have no idea what they're going to do and what they're going to roll out. So it's really not that surprising that Seattle goes in and gets the result that they do.
I want to go back to that red card. What happened there? Do you think that video review should have come into play in that incident? Because there was some controversy around it.
Can I take this? I think no. I don't think that. I don't think video review has to be implemented at every point in time because I want to see referees still have the confidence to make a call.
Right.
And that is a clear and obvious decision, penalty, red card. Anibaba, it's literally right in front of the referee. He's facing it. His body's open. He pulls him back. Decision made. Good for you, referee. Make the call and stick with it. I want to see a referee still feel that comfort and have that control of the game, not be second guessing themselves. I'm not going to make the call because we can go to video review. if we have to.
I agree, but I also, I take the other side of it where how long did it take? It took an extra 15 to 20 seconds for them to look at it upstairs, for them to radio down to them to make sure it's a red card. I mean, we always talk all the time about the referee decisions and how important they are in the game. If someone's going to go to video review for such a big decision, and obviously, denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, penalty, red card, I mean, that's a huge game-changing decision. Mm-hmm. So while I do think it was that one was fairly obvious, you always want to take that extra 20 seconds to just be absolutely sure.
Listen, not taking video review out of the equation, because I think video review is right. It's the right move for this game. It's the right move for the league moving forward. But I don't think it has to be called in every single time. Someone is watching that replay and saying, okay, let's go to that video review, or suggesting to the referee, maybe you want to go and take a look at it, right? So I still want to see the referee have control of the game, because that affects the players. The players aren't immediately popping up and going like this, or pointing and saying, card, whatever it is. Because if you have a confidence in a referee, you have a confidence he's going to make that call, then you're good with it. It bleeds into the game.
But on the player's side, Anibaba can't make that challenge.
No.
26th minute in the match is too early to be able to make that challenge, especially extending your arm like that. Referee's going to catch that one every time. Mm-hmm. Last man. Trust your goalkeeper. You got beat. Hopefully he makes a save. Willis ends up making a good one on the penalty kick, but that's still 70 minutes to
way too long.
60, 70 minutes to be down a man, and they're lucky it didn't get worse. And Will Bruin showing up today seemed to be the fitting sort of cherry on the cake. It's when everything is going terrible, and then guess who it is? Your ex shows up and makes a game.
His fist pump had a little something more behind it.
I'm upset with Will. He didn't give us the dancing bear that I wanted to see. Maybe that was a respect thing for his old team and the old fans there, and maybe he's just grown up a little bit. Maybe he's got maybe he doesn't feel like he's a bear anymore. He's not a good dancer. I don't know.
Well, I know this meant you can say this doesn't matter as much, but you play against your old team. You want to win. You want to advance.
It's a conference final, man.
Yeah.
I know you're pumped.
Yeah.
I know on the inside. I know you're.
I know you want to dance.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I know you want to dance. I know you want to take your jersey off, and I know you want to fling it around your head. But just give us a little dancing bear, And he's got the beard. He's got the playoff beard going. Kind of looks like a bear.
Dax wants the dancing bear, guys. Come on.
Maybe he'll do it if they make the final.
We'll see. So you kind of alluded to this, but I want to ask the other guys: is this curtains for Houston?
Those guys are dead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It doesn't look good. They've given us no real reason to have any confidence in what they can do, right? I mean, they're down guys, they're down players. Who plays right back for them? They're already on a substitute right back that doesn't really play his natural position. Now he's out. Who do you fill in there? Elisa is out, right? With yellow card?
Yep.
So, that's a big attacking option, and now you have to go into Seattle and play against a championship team. These guys are it. So going in and playing in their house and
it's a great
getting
point.
a result.
And you look at kind of how depleted Houston is right now going into that second leg. You can talk about one of your old teammates, AJ De La Garza, and how crushing of an injury that was to probably, for my money, the best leader on that team. A guy like AJ.
He's that guy that you may have pointed to and been like, okay, AJ will lift that up.
Or even
sure.
a guy like Ricardo Clark, right, who has been through the trenches, and you look to him to kind of say, all right, guys, give me the ball. I'm a leader of this team. I'm going to will us to maybe get a goal back. And you thought to yourself, okay, I want to say that if Houston can just nick a goal, if they can get out of there 2-1, there's that little slimmer of hope that they can go into probably one of the toughest places to play, and maybe they have a chance of winning. But now they go in. Seattle's got 2 away goals. Seattle's not dealing with many injury problems that we saw. They're firing on all cylinders. They're as solid as can be. And they're still, they're missing Ozzy Alonso, who probably has been their best player for how many years. And then you look at Svensson, Roldan, those guys just completely locked down the midfield. Well, they won every second ball. They dominated. So you just look at the way Seattle played tonight. You look at Houston, the guys that they're missing, and it's an uphill battle that they're not going to win.
Yikes. Well, for more on Houston, let's send it out to BBVA Compass Stadium, where Jillian Sakovits is standing by with Wilmer Cabrera.
Wilmer, what is this team going to have to do in Seattle?
We need to enjoy ourselves. We need to be Houston Dynamo, and we don't have to be worried about anything else but enjoy the game, going to Seattle. We're going to have fun, we're going to enjoy, and we're going to try to do our best.
What do you take away from this game that you guys need to change in Seattle next week in the second leg?
We cannot make those mistakes to get a red card, because that unbalance any situation. In a playoff, playing 10 men, losing 1-0 against Seattle Sounders or against any team, it's going to be complicated no matter what. Despite we have some good momentum in the second half, and we created some options that we couldn't finish. But we need to regroup. We need to think that we have a 90 minutes where if we do things well, maybe we can go and win over there, because it is possible.
Wilmer, thanks. We'll see you in Seattle.
Surprising to hear him use the words enjoy and fun for the second leg. I don't think there's going to be any pleasant things about their next tie-up there. I actually think that they need to sit back and try and counter. They can't concede a goal and then try and take their chances on a set piece, maybe get one before halftime, go in down with a puncher's chance in the second half. But I think he may tell these guys they need to go out and play loose because, hey, everyone's already written us off. Nobody bet on us beforehand. But the formula to me is the opposite. Is don't concede anything, be tight between the lines, and try and hit on the counter. No Elise doesn't help that. Maybe Kyoto feels in better form by then, but it's tough sledding for these guys.
I agree, and their road form, hasn't been great all season. I mean, you want to try to use and exploit the strengths of your team, and that's out wide, that's speed, that's hitting teams on the counterattack. Seattle, at home especially, they're a stubborn team. I mean, they're going to want to be on the ball. They're going to want to continue to entertain their fans, create chances. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to try to win the game, no question about it. Now, can Houston, like you said, keep it tight at the back, possibly nick a goal before the half, and then make it a little nervy for Seattle, going into the second half? I mean, I don't see it, but I think you're right about the recipe to go and approach this game.
I actually like his approach there. He seems calm and composed from the result, after the result that he just had and the performance at Houston. What other choice do you really have than to go and tell your guys to go have fun?
You have nothing to lose.
You have zero to lose. There is zero pressure on the Houston Dynamo to go into Seattle and get a result, because there are zero people in this country that expect them to do that right now.
Well, one team we saw do that actually was the Red Bulls. They lose that home leg, go up to Toronto against TFC, and they had a similar situation. Nothing to lose, the favorites, and we saw them go in and try and be physical agitators. I think if Houston's got a chance in this one is to try and play a similar role, rough things up, make it physical, see if you can get Seattle off their game, and maybe give themselves a chance, but it's tough.
All right, well, let's talk about Seattle. I mean, they were obviously the favorites coming into this game. But as we talked about in the pregame show, Seattle had never won a game in Houston. So my question to you guys, how big of a statement win is this for them? I mean, they got contributions all over the place tonight.
I thought Stuart Holden said it best on the broadcast. It just seemed like a very professional performance from this group. It didn't seem like a statement. I think I was with this group actually in Seattle last weekend, and they just seem confident. They've got the horses to do it, especially in the middle of midfield. Svensson was fantastic tonight alongside Roldan, broke everything up in the middle of midfield, gave Ladero some room to play. I think that's the only piece that you haven't seen really click yet this playoff for them. Ladero got a couple looks, didn't get a goal tonight. I think for them to potentially, looking ahead, perform at MLS Cup, they're going to need him at his best. So the second leg does have value for him personally as well.
Yeah, you have an experienced group that has weathered enough heartbreak in these games to know that this isn't the be-all, end-all. You still have another game. You still have to go home, and you still have to perform in your building and get the result to get to MLS Cup final. I think they've been through enough of these games to know that this is just another piece and another part of the wheel, that we are now climbing this mountain, and they've been there. They've done it. So there are enough guys in that locker room, enough guys in the 11, and enough guys coming off the bench that all have the same vision.
Let's give credit where credit's due. I mean, Seattle's a team that they have the big stars, right? They rely on superstars. The Clint Dempseys of the world. Ozzy Alonso didn't play tonight, but Nico Ladero. These guys, I mean, who are all kind of the faces of the Seattle Sounders. And we look at a guy like Svensson who scored the game-winning goal tonight. He just comes back from helping Sweden qualify for a World Cup. He has played pretty much, 3 or 4 different positions for them all season. He's played center back, he's played right back, he's played defensive midfielder, he's played out wide a little bit. I mean, this is a guy that's the definition of a utility man. He's a guy that's the definition of the type of depth piece that you have to bring into your locker room and you have to bring into your team if you want to be successful, because he's a guy that can plug holes. He's a guy with international experience. And, he's a guy that's not costing you that much money. And so a guy like him to come in, do his job, sit in there next to Christian Roldan. They win the midfield battle, but then he also gets the game-winning goal after qualifying for a World Cup. Pretty good week for him.
Yeah, well, let's hear from the man himself. Jill Sakovitz is with Gustav Svensson. Jill.
Seattle comes in here today, gets not only their first win in Houston, but also hands them their second loss here all season. How were you guys able to control the tempo of this game so well?
We got an early goal, and then they got a red card. Of course, that helps us a lot. We did a good first half. We should have done a lot better in second half, I think. But of course, coming here, getting 2-win victory, it's 2-0 victory. I'm happy. We have a good game now, and we just have to defend that in Seattle.
Second leg, like you said, goes back to Seattle. What kind of game can we expect? How are you going to approach that game leading now 2-0?
Hopefully we're just going to go for it, show our fans that we want more. But at the same time, we have 2-0, so we can't be too stupid. But hopefully we go for it.
Thank you.
Quite honestly, I don't know what was better, his goal or his mustache, because that thing is spectacular.
I respect it.
I love it. As somebody who has rocked the mustache before,
I respect it. It's a little. It could be a little more full in the lip area.
I like it.
Where
It's
the
just kind of
mustache
like,
resides, but yeah, I think he.
It's
geography
subtle.
lesson.
Yeah. I respect him for bringing awareness. Movember.
I love it. That's right. My gosh, it is Movember. Kaylin decided
It
not
took
to.
me a little December.
I know.
January, maybe.
Don't you start after?
We
You have
got
to start
like a
growing
week
your
left.
mustache now to have it ready for next November.
Next November.
For the 2026 World Cup, I think.
LAFC, yeah.
All right, guys. Well, let's talk about the game that happened out east, shall we? This was a scoreless affair between Columbus and Toronto. Plenty of chances generated by this Crew team, but they just could not find the back of the net. Toronto walk away with the result that they probably wanted in this one. So other than scoring that goal, what could Columbus have done differently in this game? Did they have the right approach?
Well, I actually think that they didn't come out the way I expected them to. I thought they'd be more attacking. Give Toronto FC credit. We knew they were going to get behind the lines. They also showed very little ambition as far as scoring goals as well. In that last round against NYCFC, Aful had the chance late that ended up being the decisive one. You see here his chance late. I worry that may be one you look back on it as something that may be decisive in this one. Going up to Toronto, 0-0 is tough, but again with the away goal rules, I think that gives them a chance still. But this chance right here, I thought he was going to bury it. Credit to Bono for staying big there, and then Edwards comes through as well with a diving clearance on the follow-up.
Yeah, for me, I was a little surprised as well about the way that Columbus came out in the game. It almost seemed to me like the way they played that first half is, in their head, they were thinking that they didn't want to concede the away goal. Instead of being the team that was going to push the envelope at home, try to get your crowd behind you early. They seemed to move the ball a little bit slower than they wanted to. They didn't really create much going forward. They weren't able to find Higuain much in good pockets, and Kamara barely touched the ball in the first half. So for me, in the second half, they opened things up a little bit. Obviously, Artur with a great chance there, and my guy I picked as a guy to watch. Aful had a couple good crosses, some good service. He was probably their most dangerous player on the day. But at the end of it all, you just kind of look at Columbus and you say, this was your chance to go in at home, be aggressive. Even if you concede an away goal, you still can take the lead. We know that you're capable of scoring 2-3 goals at home. They just didn't do enough on the night, and Toronto was comfortable. Toronto got exactly what they wanted. The away goal rules, obviously, Columbus will feel good about their chances, but Toronto was comfortable the whole game. The last 10, 15 minutes, there was a little bit of a little bit of panic there, a couple moments, obviously Uffle's chance, but I thought Toronto was very comfortable the way that they played. They weren't troubled too much by Columbus.
That's a missed opportunity for the Columbus Crew. It has to be looked at as that. They feel good about keeping their 0 at home, so they don't let Toronto get on the board. But Toronto created absolutely nothing in 90 minutes, did nothing to really test anybody from the Crew. So for them, I think bringing on Kekuta Mane as late as they did, that was a miss there. They could have changed that game up. It's not like there was a real sense of urgency to defend what TFC was doing. I thought that could have been changed earlier, especially Santos going down like he did, to be walking at that point in the game. How do you let a player get there? How do you let a player get to that point where he is unwilling to make a run up the line as an attacking midfielder, where Higuain's sitting in the middle of the field pointing like, go, make that run, and he's not willing to do it. It seems like that's a clear marker, okay, let's get this guy out, or maybe 12 minutes before that when you see him start to slow down. The other thing is they didn't create enough to test TFC's back line. They obviously sat back, but way too many hopeful crosses. From 40, 50 yards out where they're just lumping balls. Drew Moore and Mavinga, they're going to eat that up all day long. Ola Kamara's not going to touch a ball. He's not going to have the opportunity to really do much if that's the service that he's getting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I look at this, and I've had conversations with guys in the league, and we can talk all we want about the playoff structure, and people have all kinds of different opinions about it. But for me, this is a game that I look at, and I say, this is a game that, for me, it just doesn't pass the smell test for the entertainment value that you need to have a playoff game. You have that long break, 2.5 week break, and I say to myself, if we're coming back and we're watching a game that's a one-off game, conference final, and the team that finishes higher is the home team for their reward for having a great regular season, I think we're seeing a lot more risk taken. I think we're seeing chances created. I think we're seeing a game where it's a lot more open. And so, for me, we can talk all day about the playoff scenarios, this and that, whatever. But for me, the important thing is that moving forward, we need to figure out ways to make sure that teams are going after it. Teams are playing not to lose. Teams are playing to win.
We've all played in those games too, and you know how hard those first 75 minutes of that game is. It's very difficult because it's a measured approach on both sides. Doesn't matter if you're the home team or the away team. You have something to lose in both regards, and we could see the exact same thing happen in Toronto next week with a 0-0. It could be the first 75 minutes, 80 minutes of that game could look exactly the same as that, depending on how Columbus wants to come out and approach it.
We saw it in the first leg earlier in the playoffs as well, where teams just didn't really look that interested in trying to score a goal. And it's not the best advertisement, but you saw it come to life a little bit at the end of this one, Columbus realizing, hey, we've got a trip up to Toronto next week. Let's make sure we push now. But the urgency came a little bit too late. I agree. I would have liked to see Mane come in earlier in this match, especially with Santos. Seemed to be struggling.
Some of that is urgency, some of that is mindset, some of that's mentality. But, another factor that we talked a little bit about, we hit on it in the pregame show, is this long break. Me and Dan talked about it. The first thing that you lose when you have a lot of time off and you don't have a game quickly is the attacking flow, the attacking rhythm.
The sharpness in the final third.
It's the sharpness in the final third that is the first thing to go. And you could see Toronto, like you said, I mean, they had nothing. And you're gonna lose a lot when you don't have a Josie and a Giovinco. But Columbus, for how well that they've been playing going into the playoffs and then even in the playoffs, it was very surprising to see them not be able to click and create much going forward until the last 10, 15 minutes.
We also saw a lot of TFC just sitting back and a willingness to do nothing in the attack. Sit back, we're going to sit here and we're going to make this ugly. We're going to block your lanes and we're going to not give you the space for you to operate in. Miram really couldn't find the ball. Higuain really couldn't find those spots that he likes to operate and find those surgical passes that he is so good at. And they dirtied up the game. And it was, at the end of the day, it's a 0-0 draw, and now they get their guys back, and they can take the game wherever they want to in Toronto.
All right, well, for more on this game, let's send it out to Mapfre Stadium, where David Goss caught up with Zack Steffen.
Here with Zack Steffen at Monterey Stadium. Zack, you guys have this dangerous TFC team. You're able to keep them off the scoreboard here, not give up that away goal, but at the same time, you can't break through at home. What's the feeling coming out of a 0-0 tie first leg?
No, I mean, we're still in it. I mean, we didn't give them an away goal, and it would have been nice to come out of here with a shutout and a win, but it didn't go that way. So we'll have to go up to Toronto and bring it to them.
When you look at what this Toronto team did, what were they able to do to shut you guys down?
No, they're just very compact and behind the ball. They got 10 guys behind the ball, and they pressed well, and it was tough to move through them.
Good luck in the second leg.
Thank you.
Compact Toronto. We saw that Greg Vanney changed up the formation. What did you guys make of Toronto's approach in this one? Did they stick to their game plan?
I wasn't surprised, honestly. I wasn't surprised. You know, you lose Josie, you lose Giovinco. You're always going to go into a tough place to play and be a little bit more compact. You know, you're going to approach the game like that. Now, did I think that they were going to be a little bit more dangerous going forward? Sure. I mean, the guy we just watched his interview, I'm pretty sure he didn't have to make a save in the game. And you can bet, you know, and maybe, you know, Greg Vanney's a smart coach. He's a very good coach. And he's a guy that says, hey, listen, I don't care if the game's ugly. We're not at home. We're on the road. You know, the onus is on the home team to come out and to create and to try to score goals. You can bet that Toronto, when they get Josie and Giovinco back, you know, they're probably going to revert back to their old formation, which, you know, the 4-1-4-1 was very effective tonight. But they're going to revert back to their old formation, and you can bet Zack Steffen's going to be a very busy man in Toronto.
TFC shows, I think, the respect that the rest of the league has seen in the way that Columbus has played in these playoffs by their approach. It was a very defensive, pragmatic approach, and they were going to sit back, and I think that's emblematic of the respect that Vanney has for what Berhalter is doing and the way that they're able to play.
It's also TFC's style. They did this against the Red Bulls, sat back a little bit, and then pressured in moments. And there was just a difference in quality when you have Josie and Giovinco on the turnovers. You can force pressure, and then you get those guys going forward, running at you. They didn't have them tonight, but I think when they get back home, obviously, you've got to feel good. If you're TFC right now, 0-0 home match to go back to MLS Cup and host it, they've got to be feeling good in that game.
And TFC's, they're not worrying about an away goal because their mentality is it doesn't matter if Columbus doesn't matter if Columbus scores 2 goals, we're scoring 3. I mean, that's how Toronto's always been at home. You know, I know if I'm Columbus, I'm watching that second leg of the New York Red Bulls against Toronto FC up in Toronto as a blueprint for how to possibly disrupt Toronto, make them uncomfortable, nick a goal, and then try to come out of there with a win.
And Greg Berhalter said after their last NYCFC match that they sat back too far. They got away from their identity, trying to protect a lead. Yeah. They don't have that lead to protect anymore.
We were talking about that, the 2 different approaches that Columbus took in going to Atlanta and going to NYC. They were so much more just difficult to handle. You saw they created so many more chances against Atlanta. They were dynamic. They could have walked out of that winners well before the PKs, and then you saw the way that they approached the NYC game, and it's just not their style. So to not have a lead, to not have anything to really lean on and protect, they have to go out and take the game to TFC, which plays into their style. They're good at doing that. They can create. They have enough playmakers on that field that they can create and come up with chances.
And that was part of their problem tonight too, is they got away from that positive style of play that they have. So when this team sits back and plays conservative, it's not the same team.
Yeah.
So the formula is there for them. I think Berhalter is going to have these guys going from the beginning of the match.
All right, well, for more on TFC, let's send it back out to David Goss, who's standing by with Stephen Betashore.
Steven, you come on the road. You guys play a little bit of a different formation. For you, playing at pure right back now with a right back as well in front of you, what did it feel like? How did it feel like it played out?
Yeah, obviously I think we did well with it. It's a tactical shift that the coaching staff thought would help us, and I think we executed tonight.
When you look at the way this matchup played out, what do you look at that are keys going into the second leg?
Yeah, there's just little details. I think we can be sharper with the ball for sure. We're in good starting positions, but then when we get it, we have to be able to get out of it, find the open man, and really control the ball and keep a little bit of possession so we can get in good spots.
It seems silly to say, but you play like a cohesive unit today. Now you add Giovinco and Josie. How does that fit back in?
Yeah, obviously they're a big part of our team, you can see throughout the year, and we're definitely excited to have them back next game.
And when you look forward to that crowd, that atmosphere next week, what do you think it's going to be like?
Yeah, we love playing at home. The crowd's just electric, and we feed off of it, so we can't wait to be in front of our home crowd.
Good luck second leg.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Back to you guys.
All right, guys, final thoughts. Is it going to be an MLS Cup rematch? What do you think? What are we feeling? Based on what we saw today.
I look at the season that Toronto's had, and I say that, the chances are that they're going to be hosting another MLS Cup. But that being said, there's a lot of pressure on them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pressure on them. I know from winning the Supporters Shield with New York Red Bulls, finishing first in the conference. I mean, it's very difficult to continue that momentum all throughout the playoffs. And so, like we say with Seattle and Houston's got no pressure on them. Everyone expects them to lose. I'm thinking now, everyone's going to expect Toronto to win at home.
Sure.
Watch out for Columbus. I think that they have as good a chance as any team to go up to Toronto and get a result.
I'm with Dax here. I think it's going to be a lot more interesting than people really want to give it credit for. TFC is the clear favorite. They get the stars back in, and they're going to have Giovinco. They're going to have the chances. They're going to score goals. But Columbus has every opportunity to go up there and get a result, and they have more than enough firepower to do it. If they are able to come out and play that attacking style that they are very good at, that they've clearly developed this season, I don't see them not getting a result up in Toronto. And if they can score that away goal, if they get, maybe it's 2-2, maybe it finishes, that plays into their favor, and that pushes them through. I'm sticking with Columbus.
All right.
This is the first year in a while in MLS that I can remember going into the playoffs and saying, this team, Toronto FC, should make to MLS Cup, and they should win it. It's always sort of up for grabs in MLS, and I think the idea of having a rematch of last year's MLS Cup final is actually a step forward for the league. I think having things where there are favorites and they progress to the playoffs and get to the place in the final is something that is a good step forward as far as the ambition of certain clubs versus others. That said, I like Columbus Crew SC. I still think they have a chance going up there. They've got the Team of Destiny tag. Susanna's given it to them. And this second leg is going to be...
Oh, dear.
It is the Oracle.
She's put it on it, yeah. So
dear.
That's going to be the game of the season to watch, this second leg, Toronto and Columbus.
I think the Seattle game, I think we're all in agreement that Houston, they've had a fantastic season. They should be very proud of the way that Wilmer Cabrera turned that club around. They have a lot to build on, a lot of good young players, but I think their season ends in Seattle, and I think the Sounders are going back to another MLS Cup to try to win another championship.
Well, we will find out, you guys. Leg 2 kicks off next week, Wednesday, Toronto versus Columbus. That's a game that you can watch at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1, and then TSN and TVA Sports in Canada. And then on Thursday, Seattle hosts Houston. That game is at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. Ooh, a late one. It's going to be a late night for us. That's going to be at ESPN, TSN, and TVA Sports. On behalf of Kaylin Carr, Dan Gargan, Dax McCarty, I'm Susanna Collins. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm thankful for these crazy guys right here and for a very fun evening. Thanks for hanging with us, guys. We'll see you next time.